able to attend this meeting. So thank you all for coming. Welcome. As most of you know, I hope all of you know, I'm Holly Caulfield, and I'm the principal at Wheelock School. And Marissa Foley, if you want to say hello, Marissa.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marissa Foley, Tech Integration Specialist for Wheelock and Memorial.
So thank you so much for taking the time. We also have several staff members that have joined us in case we have questions at the end. So we have Karen Alberts, who is our speech and language pathologist, Ethna Stover, who is our music teacher, Kayla Laliberty, who is a second grade teacher and also our grade level team leader, Nicole Sheehan, who is one of our third grade teachers, Jamie Callahan, who is our literacy department chair, and Kim Connolly, who is also a second grade teacher. And I have Andrea Lichtenstein, who I think has a dual role. I think she's here as a parent today, but she is also one of our TAs at Wheelock. So thank you so much for coming. And we will have an opportunity for questions and answers at the end of the meeting. So if we didn't cover something that you wanted to go over, then you have an opportunity to ask us at the end. So I did want to just welcome you, and we really are, from the entire staff at Wheelock, hoping that you're enjoying the learning decks that we've put together, and also that your kids are doing well while not being at school. So the reason, the way that the learning deck sort of came to fruition was the first couple of weeks we did send out packets that were good for about the first 10 days, but we wanted to provide a more authentic, choice-based learning opportunity for your students. And so Marissa Foley is the brainchild behind the decks, and we've been changing them on a regular basis, keeping them current, and also adding things as we get feedback from parents. So please do continue to send us feedback, because we've been learning from you how things are going. So I'm going to share my screen with you now and show you the learning decks, and just sort of quickly go through them, because this is what your children are using on a daily basis while learning remotely. So let's see. So this is what the slide decks look like, and I'll just go through grade 2 quickly, and I'm sure that these look very familiar to you, and grade 2 and grade 3 are very, very similar. So children log in, and this is what they see. They choose their classroom teacher, and since we have Mrs. Laliberty here, I'm just going to choose her screen. And so each teacher's slide looks slightly different. It has a little bit of their own personality in it, but on each slide you should see a morning message from the teacher. You should see what special your child has for that particular day, and these are guidelines. You don't have to visit those slides, but it's a nice idea if your child has PE or art or music on a specific day, that it would be nice for them to visit. Lots of teachers have read alouds on there, and I think it's really important that kids continue to post to the Padlet and provide teachers with some way to communicate back with the students. From there, they click right here, which says click to get started. And this is my main page, so I try to update this message daily. The morning announcement link is right here, and then I'm in the process of reading Junie B. Jones and some sneaky peeky spying, so each day there's a new chapter there. I got feedback that if children weren't watching it that very day, that it was gone the next day, so I've given 3 chapters, but if ever you wanted links to the chapters, they're also posted on my YouTube channel. So if they click here, they'll get it links them right to the morning announcements. The feedback I've received is parents love being able to start their day with some normalcy, doing the Pledge of Allegiance and reciting our Peace Builder Pledge. So I will continue to do that. And then they click here. So this is what the learning slides look like. The reason we did it this way is because it is very aesthetically pleasing. It gives students choices. So if you were to click, and the expectation, and maybe one of the classroom teachers can chime in, if we would expect children to be doing reading and writing on a daily basis, along with some math activities. And then the other activities are less frequent. If Nicole or Kayla or Kim want to give any input there.
Sure. I know that at grade 3, we're planning on maybe 2 or 3 days a week to do a science or social studies activity,
Okay.
and writing as well.
Okay. And what about second grade?
We are similar with that science and social studies is more of a 2 or 3 day experience, and then the others are more consistent through the week.
And again, parents, I just would like to stress to you, if it's a day that you are just really having a hard time with your students, please, these are here for you, but we don't want to put any more stress on you. We know that lots of parents are working full time. We know that sometimes kids do better for teachers than they do for parents, my children included. And so just know that we are completely understanding of what is happening in your home is you're doing the best that you can. So each grade level has divided up their slides into daily activities. Some of them the students should be able to do independently. Others, they may need a little assistance from an adult. So for example, these are the slides for reading for grade 2. And these are the breaking out by day. Some days, if your kids are really motivated, or if it's a rainy day out and you need more time, more activities for them to do, you can do 2 in one day, depending on how your child is handling it. So this is broken out this way. A little bit later on in the presentation, we are going to show you how to post to Padlet. So that is where you can share information with classroom teachers. Similar math. Is broken out by days, and the expectation is that your students would do some math every single day. And I'm going to click a special, and since Mrs. Stover's here, maybe you can talk about your slide a little bit and what the expectations are of specialists, Mrs. Stover.
Sure, absolutely. So our specialist activities are organized where you do. Normally you would see us once a week, so there's one activity up there. We're recommending that you choose to do that on the day that your student does have that special, and that information will be available on our teacher slides. But then again, as Mrs. Caulfield says, if that doesn't work for you, there is a lot of wiggle room for that. Most specialists are giving their slides are full of different links. So like in mine, for example, I'm usually going to give you a little video lesson, and then encouraging people to go visit the Padlet to upload either a video of them doing that doing that activity, or even just writing what they liked about the lesson. That's a great way for me to continue to engage with the students, and all specialists are finding that's a very powerful way to kind of give feedback and feel connected to our students. Anything else I should mention?
No,
Mrs.
I think
Caulfield?
that's great. Perfect.
Yeah.
I also wanted to just point out there is the Spanish and Mandarin, which students do have a couple times a week, so 2 times. So there should be lessons up for each of those specials. And I wanted to point out a few other really nice features on this slide. So we have some offline activities. So this is just a calendar of events that you can do that you don't necessarily need to be online. You don't need to use technology for it. Some kids have sent me pictures and videos of them making this sock puppet. So I know that kids are accessing this to an extent. And the other one is the calm down corner. So this is just giving you different activities that we use the zones of regulation at Wheelock. And so this is helping the kids stay in the green zone, which is a calm zone where they feel safe. So there's lots of different activities on here. This is a really nice resource, and it will look familiar to the students. There's some read alouds that Mrs. Bockhorst did. Mrs. Johnson is talking about staying in the green zone during Zoom meetings. So this is a really nice resource for you. And these virtual field trips, I think there's like 25 of them available. Oops, so I'm jumping all over the place here. The virtual field trips are a really nice way for kids to, if you click this link, it will bring you to the virtual field trips, and there's all different places that kids can visit. This is a nice way to, a nice activity that kids can do independently. And then Franklin, what Franklin's been doing since not being at school is located right here. And then there's some online activities for you to choose from here as well. So that's basically the way the slide doc works. Again, your students can the choices are what order the kids want to do it in, how much time. You know, we've been recommending maybe do an activity or 2 slides, take a nice break, you know, get outside, run around, have a snack, that kind of thing. And each child is going to be different on how long that they can handle being on these slides. A lot of the smaller explanation lessons teachers are uploading screencastifys to help kids kind of navigate through this. So that is sort of the slide deck. The next thing I wanted to share with you, oh, actually, what did we have next? The overview slide. Oh, Mrs. Foley is going to share with you how to upload to Padlet. So I'm going to stop my screen share.
Hi, everyone. For anybody who came late, my name is Marissa Foley, and I'm the Tech Integration Specialist at the Wheelock and Memorial Schools. So I'm going to just give you a little insight into some of the common practices we're seeing with the slide decks. So, see here. I wanted to start with Google Classroom. Thanks, Kim, for letting me borrow your Google Classroom for this. So a lot of teachers are posting their links to Google Classroom, and Google Classroom is just the platform that they're using to post their links and share them with students. So while they might still be in emails to you, teachers, parents, and students can also find them on the Google Classroom. So if you see a post like this with the link, and then click on it, that's where the slide deck is located. So Google Classroom is not one more additional thing that students have to do. It's just another avenue to access what they're already receiving. So just wanted to make sure that that was clear for you guys. Moving on to Padlet. So you guys notice that there are lots of slides that might say post to Padlet. Padlet is a public sort of corkboard type of idea. And basically, kids will see the directions up here, and there are going to be plus buttons for them to add any sort of content. So every type of Padlet is different. If you're a specialist Padlet, if it's a reading assignment, a math assignment, it's all going to look a little bit different. So just make sure you're reading the directions or maybe looking at the examples. So for this particular Padlet, it looks like they need to post a response, tell something that you found interesting in each of the chapters. So I just want to show you maybe we'll go back to Athena's. So the music Padlet. All right, so this says to post a photo, video, or comment on this week's music challenge. What did you enjoy about this week's music class? So you'll see that it's broken down by weeks and columns. And once again, you just hit the plus button. So if you're gonna choose here, a little box pops up. The title, I would strongly suggest that you title it maybe your student's name or initials, probably not full name just for privacy purposes, but you could title it something like whatever works for you, just so the teacher knows who it's coming from, because we're not asking students to make their own accounts. So students can write something in here, and here's where you add the content. So this is the upload button. If I were to click on this, you could upload something that's already on your computer. So if you already took a video or you already have a picture and you want to upload a document, you could do that here. If you want to link something from the internet, which is probably unlikely in this case, you would click that. If you want to Google a picture, you can do that there. And then you can actually snap a picture or video within this app. So if you're taking a picture or you're taking a video and it's already on your computer, then you would upload. Or you can use the camera app actually within Padlet to take your own picture or video. So you could take a picture here, and then it would show up right here. There's the 3 dots with the more. Here's all the other stuff that you can do. So if you wanted to capture video from the camera, if you just wanted to do an audio recording, the student speaking or singing or something like that, don't feel like you always have to type. That's a really great accommodation. You can even record your screen. So if they did something creative, if they just typed out a document or they did something that they want to share, they could do a quick recording of their screen here. There are just so many different options for students to share. Sorry. My son wants to watch Paw Patrol. So that's how you use Padlet. All right. Were there any, I can't see the chat box, Holly. Were there any particular questions?
Let's see. When we share documents on the Google Drive, the teacher is included. We have added her. I don't hear anything back, so nervous she isn't getting the document. Is there a way to see if it was received?
I think I might have already
Answered
responded to that one, right?
Okay. Oh, right there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think that's it then.
Okay, well, if any questions or comments about Padlet or Google Classroom pop up, please pop them into the chat and we can get to them at the end. Before I throw it back to Holly, I just wanted to remind you or show you for the first time, if you go to the Medfield website, medfield.net, you're going to see a pop-up that says Medfield Public Schools. Click here for e-learning resources. This is the website that Medfield has been working on in order to support students and teachers, students and parents at home. So you're gonna see a lot of different things on this website and it could be a little bit overwhelming. The page that is of most interest to you is if you go to the school support pages and then, oops, if you go to the school support pages and then click on, not Memorial, school confusion, Wheelock.
Or some of you are probably clicking on multiple buttons.
Yes. So every week, the learning notebooks, the digital notebooks are posted here in case you have a hard time looking for them somewhere else. And then the prior weeks are also posted. So if you wanted to revisit anything, you can always go do that. And then there's all these sorts of additional learning opportunities. So if you need something quick for your child in a pinch, you can come visit these different areas on this support page. So no pressure to go here or anything, just wanted you to know that it exists and there's some really useful websites on there that you could use to supplement at home. All right, I'm gonna pop back to you guys.
And I just linked the URL to the Medfield site, the Wheelock site, right into the chat box. So if you wanted to grab it, you can. And I'm gonna go back and and the last thing I just wanted to, because the Zoom environment is new for lots of kids, we just wanted to share some expectations of what we need to do to optimize learning in this new remote environment. So expected behaviors for conference calls, whether it's a Zoom, a Google Hangout, and I know some kids are downloading from Facebook, the Facebook Messenger, Kids Messenger. So we just sort of came up with some guidelines. I miss my teachers and classmates, and now I get to have virtual time with them, and this means that I can talk to them on a video chat or Zoom or FaceTime. So just the expectations are that the students are saying hello and smiling. I know sometimes they're not thrilled to be there, but hopefully they can smile. Take turns, so one person at a time. Raise your hand as a signal. So we've been asking kids to just put their hand in their screen so we know that they have something they need to say. Speak clearly and look at the camera when it's your turn. I've been on many classroom Zooms now, and it does get distracting if kids are putting their faces up or making faces in the screen. So if you could just sort of reiterate that expectation with your students, that would be really helpful. Try to find a quiet place in your home to use. Again, not always easy to do when you have multiple people trying to do Zooms and trying to learn remotely, but as best you can. Try to not make noises in the background, so stay on mute unless you're speaking. Stay on topic, and no off-topic messaging. Some teachers have disabled the the chat feature on their Zoom calls, and other teachers may be using it. And focus on the people in the chat. And then when you're done, it's important that you say goodbye. So those are sort of the expectations and what we wanted to cover today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and go back to, are there any questions? And maybe if you want to take a look at the first page, Marissa, and I'll try to take a page, look further. If anyone wants to raise their hand and ask any questions of us, that would be great. Oh, I see one back. I just passed it. Is it Rachel? Did you have a question, Rachel?
I did. Hi.
Okay. Hi.
I just wondered if there's a way that the students can get like feedback on some of the remote work they've done. I know that it's like optional and some kids are typing and some kids are writing, but I wasn't sure if like they took a picture and put it in Padlet, if they could get like a thumbs up or like emoji next to their thing to know that the teacher has seen it so that they can, I don't know, be like rewarded or just held accountable for all the remote work they're doing.
I think that's great.
And I also,
I think I lost.
oh, sorry.
Oh, there you go. That's okay. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, and like the writing, like they've written stories and stuff, but I don't know. I think somebody actually asked about that earlier. Like, I don't know if they're getting them or who sees them and how to even get back to them if they want to add more. So that's kind of a two-part question.
Right. And I think that's excellent feedback. And ironically, it's what I'm going to be discussing that with the staff on what kind of feedback are we providing and how is it being provided. So, we need to kind of look at that a little more carefully. And I think it's a really important thing to discuss. And I don't think it's an unfair expectation that, parents are looking for feedback from teachers as far as what students are doing for work. So I guess the short answer is you will be seeing more feedback moving forward, and most likely it will be in the form of on a Padlet or on a Google Classroom. If there's an assignment on Google Classroom that they're uploading something, that the teachers will give feedback on that.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure if I also couldn't find it.
No, I don't think that's the case.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Some people don't have their cameras on, so if you have a question, if you just wanted to unmute yourself, and we'll try to manage it that way.
Fiona in the chat said that, sorry.
Go ahead, Fiona.
No. I typed something, but I figured I would just, whatever.
Hi, this is Shannon Pershey.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi, I was wondering, I understand that Governor Baker just announced that that school will not be reconvening this year. I think we all kind of expected that, but I'm just wondering, it's taken me a little while to get used to the process. And I'm wondering if you're going to continue on with the formula that you've been using with these slides through the end of the year, or do you expect more changes?
So we'll keep this format. We've gotten really positive feedback on the format. The content might change slightly once we get information from the Department of Education. They will be identifying power standards that students need to have. And so we'll be shifting the content of what's being put out on the slides to align to those power standards, but the actual format will stay the same. It's been, it's taken us, and it will be tweaking it to meet the needs of families and students. But the format has really gotten very positive feedback, and I think that it's working really well for most kids.
Yeah, I agree, actually. So my husband and I are both working full time, and so it's definitely been extremely challenging. And my son has done a pretty good job of doing what he needs to do and following the steps, and he understands it. So that I appreciate. My other concern was in terms of grading and stuff like that. He's not posting much to Padlet because he can't do it without our assistance, and we're just not as available to help as we'd like to be. what are we expecting in terms of grading for this period of time? I understand this is completely unprecedented and you probably don't have answers to all these questions, but I concern that because of being pulled in multiple directions that I'm not setting him up to success, and I don't want to do that. So,
and again, I think we'll be getting more guidance from the Department of Ed around that, but we're all in the same boat, so we won't be holding children accountable for work that they weren't taught explicitly. So you know, and again, it's going to, you know, I guess unlike some communities, Medfield's equity and it is a little bit different. Most kids do have access to technology and are able to access what we're sending out, but it's going to be, we're going to have to rethink it completely as a state, and looking at the standards that were set by the Department of Education, and it will look really different what the expectations at the end of this year are as opposed to years in the past.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And any other questions?
Holly, Fiona was curious about teachers touching base with students daily in the morning, just to sort of verbalize the expectations for the day. Once a week may not be enough because the teachers have such a strong positive effect on the kids, and maybe that would make things more consistent.
So right now, the guidelines for the district, Fiona, are teachers should be setting up at least 2 Zoom meetings per classroom. Many teachers are offering different time options, and that's what we're running into, like when families have multiple people trying to get onto Zooms and multiple children at different grade levels, it's hard to sort of figure out the schedule. Moving forward, now that we know that we won't be going back this year, we'll revisit that as a district and come up with new guidelines around that as well.
Okay.
So Charlie Russell on in the chat. So obviously with the new guidelines, the thing that we're always somewhat worried about is the basic expectations of what Lucy absolutely has to do versus what we can coerce her to do. Because I don't know about other parents, but there are good days and bad days. So when you've got the new guidelines, is it will you be sending out some sort of email with the sort of the basic weekly expectations in terms of what they're supposed to achieve at the end? So learning objectives basically for each of the. Sorry, I'm talking like a college professor, which I am. So I am with you 100% on all of this. It gets worse as they get older.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm trying to get them graduating.
Right. I think that I think that that's a reasonable expectation, just to set parents up to know what a child should be doing on a daily and weekly basis. And I'm sure teachers are going to be planning out, and definitely we can share the information with parents.
Oh, and I think obviously the biggest worry that some of the parents, I know certainly I have, is the idea that because there's not the structured progression, that the kids are kind of going to go. We always know that there's an attrition where they sort of backslide over the summer, and I think all of us are a bit worried that they're going to just all the way back, and we're almost going to potentially lose more, even a year with some of the kids, just the year's worth of progress in terms of what they've been making. So that is the big concern. I don't know how we could possibly address that, but I know that from my point of view, that's the one thing that I'm worried about, and I know other parents are worried about.
Right, and that's another reason. Yeah, that's another reason we set up the slides the way they are, to try to keep kids' brains engaged and keep them active in the learning process. Even more importantly than the content, but just to keep them engaged.
And we're all in this together. Everyone, the entire state, everyone's dealing with the same thing. Parents, kids, everything. This is, it's hard to wrap your mind around. And first and foremost, we are in the middle of a pandemic. And so before learning expectations and things like that, and offering feedback and turning in work, we also have to be understanding and supportive of the differing needs in everyone's home environment as well. And so finding that balance is, a work in progress.
Mm-hmm. Looks like Jill Warner has her hand up. You're muted, Jill, sorry. There you go. You just muted.
So that soothes my mind about the backslide is that I know all the teachers are working so hard, they're doing awesome. And kind of I understand that, like, when the third grade teachers are receiving next year's third grade class, they're going to recognize that they're getting a class that has missed 4 months of school. And I think that's where I don't worry about the backslide, because our teachers will be kind of probably adjusting the way they start school up again when it starts up again. So Absolutely. I think the goal is to kind of keep them engaged right now. Mm-hmm. But if they're not hitting every target that's put out there, that's okay, because they're going to get like extra help, and it's going to slow down a little bit when they go back.
Absolutely. We'll be definitely be rethinking the start of the school year next year. Karen, Merston, did you have a question?
Hi, how are you?
Hey, good, how are you doing?
Good, thanks. Trying to get through it like all of us.
Yeah.
So I do definitely appreciate the way the format has been with this notebook and each classroom, and then kids being able to identify kind of what they want to do each day. But I know for us, it would certainly be helpful, and I don't know if it's possible even, and I know it won't work for everybody, for the teachers maybe to even say, like, from 9 to 9:30, work on math, and this is the assignment that would be great for today. Like, they've kind of already broken it down by the day. Just something that would work for me, just because not having kind of the structure of what should she do and giving her the choice, again, while my husband and I are both working,
mm-hmm.
it has been more difficult for us to kind of narrow her down into do this
mm-hmm.
at this time.
Yeah, and I think that could come and look like maybe a suggested schedule, because as you said, some parents aren't free from 9 to 9:30 or may have other kids that they need to be helping at that time, but to give maybe a suggested schedule, which some teachers I think have, but maybe making that a little more consistent throughout the grade level would be a good plan.
Thank you.
Sure. Just gonna click on. Any other questions?
This is Michelle Lederhose. I'll just piggyback off of that, because I feel the same, that a little bit of whether it's a template or something, and I know there was one filled in on the, I think it was at the end of the slide deck that we've been using, but even something that I could print out or show them on the screen, that would get them excited about, here's what the expectation is for today. I've been doing it on my own every day, but like you said at the top of the call, I think it comes better from you than me.
I agree. Yeah, sure.
So I like the idea of a template of the structure of the expectations. So thank you.
Perfect.
This is Becky Ehrlichman. Echoing that, my fourth graders teacher gives a checklist every day,
mm-hmm.
and it's times, but that's been helpful just to have it written down and the boxes to check.
Okay, great. Thanks, that's great feedback. Any other questions?
I had a question. I don't know if you know the answer, because this is a little premature, but I'm wondering, in terms of the placement process for third, whether they will be announcing it, in the same time frame in June as usual. I think there probably will be some anxiety about, returning to school when it returns. And I'm just wondering if maybe not what the plan is, but if you are thinking along those lines, and whether that information will be released.
Yeah, I was just actually on a leadership Zoom right before this meeting, and it did come up. And so Dr. Billsborough and Mr. Grenham and I will be meeting. Ideally, we would love to have placement set so that students could either have a Zoom call with their teachers in June, or at least know before leaving for the summer. Doesn't that sound funny? Know by the end of this school year, or the designated school year, who they will have for next year's teacher, because I agree with you. I think that will alleviate some of the anxiety that goes along with that. I don't know what placement is going to look like. That to me is making me a little bit anxious, but that's okay. We'll get through it. We've gotten this far. So, but yes, I think that, that's a valid question and a valid concern. So ideally, I would love to be able to let kids know by June.
Thank you.
Sure. And any other further
I
questions?
just want to note quickly
Okay.
that Nicole Hartley, she sent me a little message, and she was saying about the printable resources. It would be nice if there were some way to get some sort of link to all the printable resources in the slide deck, so that every time her child comes across one, they don't have to stop and help her student print, if they
That's a
could
great
just sort of
idea.
set that up at the start of the week. So that's something we could talk about too, moving forward.
Perfect.
Yeah, I would agree with that, because with that first week, just having the folder where it was all of the things that Lucy had to do just there, and we had printed them out and she just worked through them. It was so much easier to sort of get her on board and at least have her know exactly what she had to do for the day.
Mhm.
So that would be brilliant if that could be done as well.
Sure. All right. Well, I want to be cognizant of your time. I so appreciate you coming this morning, and well, it's actually now afternoon, and you will be getting further information from us now that we know that the closure has extended through the end of the school year. But we so appreciate everything you're doing at home, and continue to provide us feedback, because again, this is all new to us. We've never done anything quite like this, and we want to just make sure that we are meeting the needs of our students. And please know that we miss them so much, and given the choice, we would be back at school tomorrow.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for all of you. I'm sure a lot of the moms on this call are feeling the same way, that I'm overwhelmed with gratitude for everything you guys are doing for these guys. So
Thank you. And thank you for all you're doing at
Thank
home.
you.
It's been amazing. So thanks, everyone. Marissa, I don't have ability to end the meeting. I wonder why.
Probably because I got here before you.
Oh, look at you.
So I took your host duties.
All right. One quick question. Is there a way to save the chat? Let me look. Yes, save chat.
So
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, and then actually typically, are you saving your recording locally? Like on your computer?